All right, back again. I'd like to take this time to tell you that I am not your financial advisor. Um, none of this is an indication for you to buy or sell anything. This is just a documentation of my trading journey. Now, with that being said, what I wanted to talk about today would be just a little thing, Bitcoin. Okay, so for my thesis, I had a lot of companies buying into that, for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons would be what I'm about to talk about. And I think that it's about to start becoming, apparent, right? So a lot of these companies right now, they're going into earnings season, right? We got earnings again in about June, July timeframe, but for right now, there's a couple of companies that are going to be presenting. I think Coca-Cola. See that at the beginning of this week or last week, but I think it was Tuesday. But either way, companies like Ford, McDonald, like all these companies that these tariffs supposedly affect, right? So, you know, what I'm going to be looking at is a couple of these companies. A couple of these companies might be okay, but there's definitely going to be some that are affected, right? And at these events, these earnings, when these earnings calls happen, okay, a couple of things they talk about. They talk about, they have an estimated share price that their stock should be at by the time of this earnings call, and they'll talk about if they beat that estimated share price or if they didn't. They also talk about like revenue, whether the company, how much money the company made, if the company made money, if it broke even, if it didn't break even, or if it beat expectations. And then what they also talk about in there is forward guidance. Okay, so forward guidance is kind of like exactly what it says. It's telling you what they plan on, where they plan on being as themselves, at some point in the future, or what they plan on doing, how they're going to navigate if there's, what I'm saying, if there's something, especially like these tariffs. Okay, so when these companies have these guidance or these earnings calls, their guidance, a lot of them are talking about how they're going to navigate this situation, or if they have a plan on that at all. Now, it won't be straightforward, that's why you got to listen to it sometimes, because these companies, first of all, it's funny. Sometimes it's funny, because these guys have to, if they're having a terrible time and they're not making any money, they gotta make it. They gotta say we're not making any money, but they'll use it in a financial way to where you gotta think about it. You'll be like, wait a second. Then you break it down, and you're like, these guys aren't making any money, and not at all. And he's saying that with a straight face. So yeah. So this upcoming thing is this earnings call. So a lot of these companies aren't going to be able to. They're not going to have good. Woo! This is a jumping spider. They're not going to be able to have good, forward guidance. Not a lot of them. So, what are they going to do? Are they going to sit there and let their share price get beat up because they can't do anything? Because all they got to go do is tell their investors, hey guys, it's not my fault that we can't make any money. Blame Trump. These tariffs are impossible. You think shareholders want to hear that? You think any of them want to hear that? These companies make money. They're here to make money, okay? If you know the problem with corporations, it's because of, man, they just make too much money. This is what they do, and this is how they do it, okay? This is why I'm telling you, this is what they're probably going to end up doing. They're already talking about now Bitcoin is a hedge, okay? If you don't know what a hedge is, it's basically like if I'm long Wall Street, right? Majority of my money is long Tesla, whatever, one of the leading stocks on the Wall Street, okay? That means that, if Tesla and all the Wall Street goes down, I'm losing money. But there's something out there that would be going up when Wall Street's going down. And that's what they're saying Bitcoin and crypto now is for those assets, okay? It used to be a thing to where they ran in tandem. Now it's being more, a little step by step, but there is some separation. You can see it in the patterns. Either way, you look for that, okay? Companies adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet for stability, for that main reason, for stuff like that. Now, pay no attention. Just follow how much money they put in, and well, I'll give you updates, but the amount of money they put in, and then how frequent these guys are gonna be buying in here, because when one of the big ones starts, that's when the rest of them come in. Okay, so that's what I got for you on that. Nothing on XRP. Crypto, there is another bill that's talking about being passed. Eleanor Torre, she's a reporter that's on X. financial reporter. I'm not gonna say anything bad about her. I'm just gonna say, if anybody that she's like a you know what I'm saying, like you're a reporter, but if everybody's feeding you the information before everybody else and you get the information, the best information before everybody, like, are you really reporting? It's like that Shams Karina guy, or the Brian, the one guy that was doing it before him, breaking news on SportsCenter. They're giving you all the information before everybody. You're not really breaking news. You know what I'm saying? Like, it goes to you anyway. There's a bill that's talked about getting passed. I think it passed the House, but it's waiting to be voted on in the Senate. Basically, in it, regular cryptos, and I do mean regular cryptos. That's the best way I can explain that for you. When you go to sell them, they don't get counted as securities. So, does that mean that there's no capital gains tax, or does that mean that there is a tax? It's just not as big as capital gains? Like what? I want to know. But the wording, it's about 1,000 pages, 300 pages, or 33. It's too much for me. I'll read like the outline, and then, bro, I'll just wait for that thing to get passed, and then the cliff notes. I'm not about to sit out and break out 1,000 pages. Okay, so there's your update right there. Oh, FNGR, if you're paying attention to anything, watch that stock. Okay, GBUX also. But here's something that you, on these shorter stocks, when they've been running like that, I'll tell you something. When you open red, if that stock then goes green, I've been told that is a telltale sign of just utter destruction. Okay, if you're shorting that stock. FNGR GBUX, the ones I like. Ford is also moving weird, but there's no news. Watch Ford. Okay. All right, guys, be easy. I'm out of here. Deuces.